Almost everyone has the same problem at night, lying there, wide awake, long after they should have fallen asleep. Turns out that's not just a modern problem. Humans have had trouble sleeping through the night for basically all of history. Not just you, not just now. But if you think you're bad at sleeping, wait until you hear what an entire city of 1 million people was doing every single night 2,000 years ago. Because ancient Rome wasn't quiet after dark. It wasn't calm. It wasn't just people sleeping through 12 hours of darkness like you'd expect. It was louder at midnight than it was at noon. One law is the reason why. And it accidentally created a version of Rome that never really slept. Here's what actually happened once the sun went down. Let's start with the noise. Because Rome at night was loud. Genuinely loud. Here's why. Julius Caesar passed a law. No delivery carts allowed on the streets during the day. Made sense on paper. Rome was packed. Streets were already jammed with people. But someone still had to move all that stone, all that grain, all that construction material. So it all shifted to night instead. Picture it. Iron wheels, grinding against stone streets. All night, every night, for centuries. The poet Juvenal complained about it, said the noise alone could keep the richest men in Rome awake at night. He wasn't exaggerating for effect either. His writing describes entire streets rattling under the weight of cart traffic, night after night, with absolutely no relief. So if you think your street outside is loud, Rome had that problem forever. No breaks, no quiet nights, ever. But the noise wasn't even the scary part. The scary part was the dark. Rome had basically no street lighting. None. Once the sun dropped, the whole city just disappeared into black. And a pitch black city with 1 million people in it, that's dangerous. Simple as that. Robberies happened constantly. Worse things happened too. Rich Romans wouldn't leave their homes at night without protection. Torchbearers, sometimes actual bodyguards, just to walk a few streets over for dinner. For a long time, there wasn't even a real police force. Just 3 guys, literally called the 3 men of the night. 3 people for an entire capital city. It didn't work. Eventually, Emperor Augustus fixed it. He created a new force, the Vigiles, thousands of them, patrolling every night, carrying lanterns, water buckets, axes. Half firefighter, half cop. Rome was packed with wooden buildings. Fire spread fast, so the Vigiles caught fires early, broke up fights, chased down thieves, kept the whole city from falling apart after dark. And Romans didn't just think of night as one long stretch of darkness either. They actually split it into 4 separate blocks called vigiliae, or watches. Each one covered a few hours, and soldiers and guards rotated through them, shift by shift, all night long. It's actually where the Vigiles get their name from. So next time you pull an all-nighter, just know Romans had an entire structured system built around exactly that. Now here's the twist. Even with all that danger, all that noise, all that chaos, Rome's nightlife was actually incredible. If you were rich, night was banquet time. Long dinners, hours long, wine, music, poetry, people showing off exactly how wealthy they were, one course at a time. Guests didn't even sit at these things. They reclined on couches arranged around low tables, propped up on one elbow, eating with their hands. Servants brought course after course. Sometimes that meant genuinely bizarre food by today's standards. Stuffed dormice, cooked in honey, were considered a legitimate delicacy. And a fermented fish sauce called garum, which smelled about as strong as it sounds, got poured over almost everything. Some of the wealthiest households even had it made fresh, fermenting in vats, sometimes worked through the night, specifically because the smell was easier to tolerate once the household had gone to bed. If you weren't rich, you probably ended up at a tavern instead. Most regular Romans lived in tiny apartments, no kitchens, so eating out wasn't a luxury. It was the only option. Simple food, bread, cheese, wine, and a room full of regular people every single night. The upper class hated these places, called them full of criminals and drunks. Taverns doubled as the city's main gambling scene too. Dice games ran late into the night, technically illegal outside of specific festival periods, and taverns simply ignored that rule constantly. Didn't matter how many times officials cracked down, taverns stayed packed anyway. Banquet or tavern, which one's you? Comment below. There's one more nighttime custom worth knowing, and it's a little darker. Funerals for the poor were often held at night, specifically to avoid disrupting the busy daytime streets. Torchlit processions moved through the city after dark, sometimes with hired mourners wailing along the route. A strange, haunting scene playing out in a city that was already loud and chaotic after sundown. Even sleep wasn't what you'd expect either. This part actually connects back to that feeling of lying awake we started with. A lot of Romans didn't sleep in one long block like we do. They slept in two parts. A first sleep. Then they'd wake up, stay awake for a bit, pray, think, read if they had a lamp burning nearby. Then a second sleep right after. So that, why am I still awake feeling? Some historians think that's not a modern problem at all. It might actually be closer to how humans naturally slept for most of history, before artificial light convinced us we're supposed to sleep in one uninterrupted block. Speaking of lamps, basically all that stood between a Roman home and total darkness. Small oil lamps, placed exactly where someone needed light, next to a bed, near a shrine, on a writing desk. Everywhere else in the house, just dark. And that shrine mattered too. Most homes had one, a small household shrine called a lararium. Families left tiny offerings there every single night. A quick ritual, almost automatic. Kind of like checking your phone before bed, except it was for the gods of your household. So the next time you're wide awake at night, feeling like something's wrong with you, remember, an entire civilization was doing basically the same thing, just with oil lamps and household gods instead of a screen. Rome never actually slept. It just changed what it was doing. Like if this changed how you picture Rome. Subscribe for more and comment what surprised you most.